Welcome to Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205, a place where teaching is bold and students are highly engaged in their learning.
Every student and every staff member has a story.
Decisions are made based on what is best for students.
Future-ready classrooms are growing and evolving daily.
Those classrooms model the 4 C's, the future-ready super skills of communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity.
The educational needs of all students are met, challenging each to his or her full potential and ensuring a foundation for future success in life.
All means all.
Rigor, relevance, and relationships form the basis of excellence. Excellence is embedded in culture.
Growth is a mindset. Diversity is embraced and celebrated. Opportunities for unique expression abound.
History provides inspiration.
Family and community are at the core.
We are committed to raising the bar to create bright futures for our children, preparing and encouraging them to reach beyond their dreams.
York 2017 Dukes of Distinction. Please give them a round of applause. Okay, you guys can be seated. Thank you. I would like to begin the program tonight by welcoming Jay Webb, class of 1975, president of York Community High School's Alumni Association, to the mic. Jay.
Good evening and welcome. Welcome to this wonderful evening. And before we go any further, I'd like to just have you give a big hand for the committee that put together this evening. It's beautiful here, always is. And if I could just hear it for the committee, please, a little round of applause. Those of you that haven't been back, and this was outdoors last time you saw it, it's quite nice to be sitting in here with the nostalgia. The thing I was looking down the program, and it hit me tonight, most of our award winners are all in positions that us little kids dreamed of. Everybody wanted to be a firefighter. We had plenty of battles and military maneuvers in my alley growing up. Everybody wanted to be an Olympian. Nurses, my sisters all wanted to be nurses, and one is. And it's kind of funny how that all works out. And now we have a group like this, and not mention TV. And I never thought I'd be an Alumni York president either, but now I are one. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about what's going on. A couple years back, we saw the 100-year anniversary coming, and we got to thinking, well, we never had an alumni association. Maybe we could do something and kick that off at the same time, because we need to do everything in the alumni association that we'll have to do to run a 100-year centennial celebration. So it all kind of came together, and we're moving along slowly. I don't know if you've seen what we've got going, but we have plans for the celebration next year, kicking off in the fall, with a weekend of events here involving a family day. I would think that's going to be Saturday. I should go through it. A Thursday night orchestra concert, I believe. This is all tentative. So, and then Friday night with the football game and various parties and different places for the different classes and decades to go to. Saturday, we have tours. We're going to have a family program here with the different decades set up, and we want to honor those families that have 3 and 4 generations of York grads. Make it a lot of fun. And then Saturday evening will be some kind of dance. We haven't got a name for it at all. And so we got that. Then we have Les Zunkel at the end of the year, tentatively in the spring, is putting together a drama through the decades. It'll be going back. We're going to bring back some old players and have a good time with that. And then in between, we have different events planned. We're looking to have alumni nights at some of the restaurants. The teachers don't know this, but the older teachers, we would like to have dinner with the teachers, our old teachers, if we can, and they'll agree to it, and they enjoy the food we're taking them to. The association is a small group of people. We've got a lot of things planned. We have want to do mentoring, internships in the city. We want to get the business involved. We want to have fun with socials. And we have one lady has come forward, wants to mentor some students regarding internet startup companies. And these are the things we have. But we're a small group. We do need funding, and we have a card here on the table if you care to donate tonight. And we do need funding to pull this all off, but we also need people. We're a small group of people. We have some great ideas, but we can't be everything to everybody. So I urge you, from the different eras, from spanning from the 50s to current day, we need ideas, and they can be anything. You want to do a boat ride on Lake Michigan, we can put it together. You want to do fundraising for some event in town, we'd be happy to do it. And it's endless. You want to build a retirement home for York alumni somewhere, come talk to us. If you got a group, we'll be happy to listen to it. But the idea is that we need input from other people and to make this happen. It is a slow process and that, but it is coming along, and just hope you stop by our table. We got some merchandise there, and certainly enjoy the program, and thank you all. I'll turn it back over to Aaron.
Thank you, Jay. So I just want to wish everyone a good evening. I'm Erin DeLuca, the principal of York High School, and I want to welcome all of you to the 2017 York Distinguished Alumni Program. We are so honored to have you here to celebrate our incredibly deserving and successful Dukes of Distinction. I think coming back to one's alma mater because of the extraordinary life experiences an alum has had is one of the most defining moments I'd imagine any individual can experience. We are so very proud of the individuals representing the rich history of York High School that are present tonight. The greatness among us is palpable. We have a Duke who has been awarded honorary medals for his service after assisting in 9/11 as a fireman. We have a Duke that owns a television station and is the founder of the Skylark Foundation that supports the protection of LGBTQ rights. We have a Duke that was appointed Brigadier General by the President of the United States. We have a Duke who is a 12-time U.S. national badminton champion. We have a Duke who's worked in the medical field and earned her appointment as a Fulbright Scholar. And finally, we have a Duke that has been extremely influential in the medical and research world with her work as President of Research America. Tonight, we're going to hear their stories come to life at our annual Dukes of Distinction Honorary Program. But before we do get started with the program, I'd like to share my gratitude for a number of groups. First, I'd like to thank York's administrative team and custodial staff, Malia Smith and the Communications and Alumni Relations Departments, Drew McGuire, Assistant Principal of Finance and Operations, and the District 205 Board of Education, along with Dr. Moyer, Superintendent of Schools, for all of their hard work in today's plannings. I'd also like the members of the YDAP Committee, the 205 Foundation, as well as those who served as judges, and our York Advisory Team to stand and be recognized. Please stand. And I'd also like to thank our symphonic band Woodwind Quintet, Tessa, Lauren, Alex, Nick, and Sienna. Beautiful job. And finally, I know that there are a lot of alum that are sitting here tonight that may not be up on the stage tonight that are wearing green bracelets. If you can please stand and raise your arm for a picture with the glow bracelets to show your Duke pride. Excellent, thank you. Without further ado, I invite Dr. Moyer, District 205 Superintendent, up to the podium.
Thank you, Aaron. The first thing I'd like to do is introduce Shannon Ebner, our board president, and Jim Collins, one of our board members. Both are York alums who are with us tonight and up here to my left. And I thank you for all you do. Some people don't realize it's a volunteer full-time job that they do, and I certainly appreciate it, and I hope you do as well. The next thing I'd like to do is do something that we sometimes take for granted, which is thank our York musicians. They come out to these events and they help us enjoy our evening, and they do it gladly and they enjoy it, but also they are typically people that are involved in a lot of different things, have a lot of commitments, and they come out to help make our night more enjoyable, and they always rise to the occasion, so I want to make sure I thank them. Also want to recognize my executive director for communications, Malia Smith, who's here, and Lisa Finelli, the executive director for the foundation. Foundation supports this event, and they do a lot of work behind the scenes, and the foundation has been absolutely terrific, supporting our school priorities and helping fill in where we need some help. And they always step up as well. So I'd like to thank both of them for helping make this night special for everybody. And they are in the back hiding somewhere, which you might expect. I'm not quite sure if I was able to pull this off as well as I would have liked. I usually do okay with this kind of thing, but for some reason I was hoping to make a connection, and I'm not sure if I did, so bear with me if I didn't quite get it right. But I do want to take an opportunity to celebrate some successes. Some of you may not be back here that often or really know exactly what we do and how great our kids are. And our kids are just as great today as they were when you were all here. And our district is committed to ensuring its place as a national leader in future-ready learning. Our vision is to ensure that all students graduate college, career, and life ready. And our mission is to accelerate learning for all students. We recently learned through a scientific telephone poll that 85% of District 205 households are satisfied with our school district, with 50% indicating that they are very satisfied. Our consultant shared with us that the highest she has seen in recent years has been 70%. And I think that we do need to take the time in today's political climate and in the frenetic pace of everything that goes on in our daily lives to just take a step back once in a while, and when there's good news, to acknowledge it and absorb it and celebrate it. And there is much to celebrate, and tonight's a perfect example of that. To me, tonight's not about honoring the past, though tradition is important. Instead, it's more about honoring the commitment that the people before you made to the future, to making the world a better place for us and our children. Our district is committed to preparing students to be successful in a rapidly changing and unpredictable world. Our Dukes of Distinction have demonstrated tremendous success in their chosen fields, but they have succeeded in much more than that. They have shown that when one commits to a greater good, it is possible to shape a better future. Tonight's class of distinguished alumni have modeled what we value and desire for our current children, and I am honored to welcome them home. Thank you. And now Shannon.
Hi. Good evening. I'm Shannon Ebner, and I've been on the District 205 Board of Education for 6 years, and Jim has been on the board with me a little bit longer, for 8 years, and there's 5 other members too on our board. But I'd like to welcome home our distinguished alumni. Thank you for taking the time to do this. This is a really special event. This is actually one of my favorite events of the year, this and York graduation, because we get to celebrate, we can come together and celebrate success. And I think, as Dave said, that's really important to do, to take time out and do this. The other reason why I think this is really important, because it gives our students concrete examples of what they can achieve. And you probably have no idea how much you'll inspire our students when you're getting together with them on what is possible. And we, as a school board, are trying to give our kids concrete examples of real work experiences and give them a comprehensive education. And this kind of event fits perfectly with what we're trying to do as a school board. So thank you for being here. And I'm really excited to hear your story. And thank you for inspiring the next generation of kids. Thanks.
Thank you, Shannon. So we're going to go ahead and begin the program with our first Duke to be recognized this evening is Lieutenant David Boss, class of 1980. David tried many jobs before answering an ad for a part-time fireman. He was hired by the Lyle Woodbridge Fire Department and later by the Bartlett Fire Department. He graduated from the paramedic program with honors. Dave worked in the aftermath of Katrina, received the Armed Forces Humanitarian Medal and the Mutual Aid Box Alarm System medals for his service. Additionally, he assisted the New York Fire Department after the 9/11 attacks. Lieutenant Boss retired in 2016 after 20 years of full-time service and continues his passionate work, devoting time to teaching life skills to individuals with disabilities. I welcome David up.
Actually type something down. First off, are there any Marines here? No? Have you ever heard the saying, once a Marine, always a Marine? I used to think that was just Marine propaganda until I retired from the fire service. It's not propaganda. Once you leave the fire service, I can't say I'm not a fireman. So, I'm very humbled by this. And a little surprised and shocked that I got it. All I was a fireman, paramedic, and a lieutenant doing the job he loved. I would be amiss without thanking the people who are here tonight. My mother, my stepfather, Barb and Ted Overholt, my daughter Sophie made it, and Crystal Scott for nominating me for the award. Sorry, I have to read like this. And my other high school friends, Jean Boyko, Santori, I'm bad with names, that's where we have names, and Tom Kelly. Unfortunately, my bride Monica and my other two children couldn't make it due to school obligations. My daughter takes school a little more serious than I did. Please don't pull my grades up. I'm pretty much at the bottom of that list. Like I said, I wasn't a good student in York. I wasn't the best athlete. Tom Kelly was a better football player than I was. And I wouldn't have got through English and math if it wasn't for Crystal and Jean's help. I remember in that hallway, both of them helping me in that. Someone asked me, what did York teach me? I had something different, but actually friendship. It taught me the power of friends. The other thing, it also taught me, well, I'm out of place here. In my job, you had to be 100% on 100% of the time, no matter what the time or what the time of day is. There was no room for safe space. There was no room for feelings, and there was no room for prejudices. That all went out the window. You had to do your job. And the first person, you had to watch out for yourself, then the people who called you. Nobody calls a fireman because they want to. You had to watch out for them. And as a company officer, I had the responsibility of not only the civilian, I had responsibility to firemen. The second thing York taught me was tenacity. To become a fireman, you just don't sign your name on a dotted line. You've got to take a bunch of tests, and you take tests and you fail tests. And if you get on a list, if you're not high on the list, after 3 years, they got to do it again. So you got to keep hitting it. And then maybe you'll get the job. And I kept testing. I kept sticking at it. And then in 1 month, I got 2 job offers. I chose Bartlett. I think it was the better choice. And the same with lieutenant. Lieutenant test, I stuck with it. At 3rd test, I was first on the list, which I'm very proud of. The other 2 tests, kind of like my grades. I kind of rambled a little bit. Like I said, I should have had this in bigger font. I would like to leave you with one thought, and it's the thought I used last line I used in my retirement speech. And this is all you really got to have to remember. Also remember the difference between a job and a career. I had a career. We all called it the job if we're on the job. But we all thought of it as a career, as a life. Oh, I've been missing the pictures. I'm sorry. That's what it feels like to be a lieutenant. I'm not lying. I haven't been paying attention. Is that the first picture, I hope? The last thing, and this is how I ended my retirement speech, which was that was the train derailment. That was a long day. Ever here been in a train wreck? You don't want to be at a train wreck. It started at 4 in the morning. I was supposed to get it off at 8 in the morning. I didn't get home till 11 p.m. at night. Back to my motto. It's not my motto. It's the motto of the 42nd Brandenburg Regiment of Frederick the Great's Army. And this is what I stuck with, and that's what everyone should stick with in their career. Do more than your duty. If you do that, you'll be fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next Duke to be recognized is Blake Byrne, class of 1953. Blake spent 35 years in television broadcasting before retiring in 1997. He's a chairman of Byrne Acquisition Group with the TV and radio stations in Wisconsin and South Carolina. Blake founded the Skylark Foundation, advocating for the protection of LGBTQ rights, social justice, and supporting diversity. Blake is an active supporter of the arts and an avid art collector. He is a lifetime trustee of MoCA, was the founding chair of the National Museum, and was honored in France for his committed passion and contributions to the arts. Blake's art has been shared with students at Duke University, The Ohio State University, Columbia University, and Lewis and Clark College. Welcome back, Blake. Come on up.
Well, what an honor. Holy mackerel. First, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Sally Mills Scheinflug, who was my nominator and long life friend from class of 50. Oh, I don't want to mention your age, so that's not polite, is it, for women? It's okay for guys, I guess. No, but Sally and Bill have been friends all through these years. I was very fortunate in that my folks moved to Chicago in the middle of my freshman year, and middle of my sophomore year, excuse me. And we lived in Long Island in New York, and I was going to have to go to boarding school, as public school wasn't so good. Well, here, when I got to York, that was the difference. York was good. It was very well thought of. I just remember arguing with my cousins in Winnetka whether York or New Trier was better. But I ended up, I am pleased to say, Bob Riggs, Bill Scheinflug are both here tonight, and they were two of my very earliest friends at York High School. I had, in that same group of guys who ran around together, we had 3 of us went to Duke University, and I don't think there was Duke Street at that time coming into the campus, but it certainly makes me smile when I see that today. We all graduated from Duke together, and all our parents were there from Elmhurst, except for mine, who had moved to California in the middle of my freshman year. So I didn't have the wonderful opportunity of sharing all my college experiences with my high school buddies because my folks had moved away. So that I regret, but somehow or other we've all stayed in touch, so we've shared a lot of those wonderful times and experiences post-mortem. I've been indeed fortunate in my life. My dad was in broadcasting. I was in broadcasting. My son is in broadcasting. Not many families can say that. And it's a wonderful business. It is not made of fake news. It is made of many thousands of people who are totally sincere in trying to find the truth to pass on to their audiences. Enough politics, sorry. We started a company called Argyle, which then merged with the Hearst Corporation. And when that happened, I was a founder of Argyle, and when we merged, I retired because for some reason or other, I don't report up as well as I report down. So that's when I really emphasized my art life, and I bought an apartment in Paris, France. And these pictures have nothing to do with what I'm talking about, just so you know. I didn't want to have a TV production. Anyhow, so I bought an apartment and I just closed it after 20 years. It was a wonderful opportunity and experience. It was my second home. And I will continue to enjoy my Parisian life since I've been invited to be on a wonderful arts board in Paris, which means I've got to go there twice a year. So, you know, sometimes you lose, but it's okay. But no, thank you all very, very much for being here tonight, for helping to honor us. It's not honoring us, it's really honoring the people that the people from this podium have helped. It's honoring, it's the drive and the motivation from high school days that gave us the direction and the leadership that we needed to think about how do we help. We help by working hard for ourselves and our neighbors and our friends and people we don't know. And I'm thankful to York for all their direction, and it's just been a great experience. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, how nice.
And York definitely has better alums than Detroit.
Thank you. I love it. Thank you, Sadie.
Thank you, Blake. Another incredible Duke to be recognized this evening is Brigadier General Thomas Fisher, class of 1986. Thomas began his military career in the Michigan Army National Guard and continued with the Utah Army National Guard. He was promoted to Brigadier General in 2016, a position appointed by the President of the United States and confirmed by the US Senate. He is currently the Land Component Commander. This is a very rare achievement. Less than 0.1% of US Army officers reach the rank of general office. B.G. Fisher was deployed to Iraq from 2003 to 2005 and graduated from the US Army War College with a Master's of Strategic Studies. Brigadier General Thomas Fisher could not be present with us this evening, but his parents represented him walking down the carpet, and now we will see Thomas's video.
What an unexpected honor to be included as a distinguished alumni for York Community High School with this esteemed group. I only say unexpected because my family and my friends who knew me in high school probably would not have predicted that I would be here today. But there's been a lot of changes since high school. And the change really comes from a foundation growing up in Elmhurst, Illinois, and going to York. I first want to acknowledge my brother Mike, who nominated me for this honor. Unfortunately, my wife and I can't be there to receive it in person, but my family can, so you'll be seeing them later. If I had not been called away to do some training for the Army and for my GO position, I would have been there. I also want to thank the Alumni Relations staff who coordinate on all of this. Since I've been notified of this, they've done a great job of helping me put all this together so that I could be there even though I can't be there in person. I didn't know it before graduating from York in 1986, but my future successes were directly tied to being in the right place at the right time and having great mentors along the way. What also helped was having a great group of friends that kept each other in check and kept us on the right track during our formative years. One of the foundations of being in the Army and being a leader in local government is living by a set of values. And values aren't unique to local government or the Army, but what is unique is that we're held accountable for those values. And what's been remarkable to me in both my Army and my county job is how useful those are to everything in life. The values I'm talking about are the U.S. Army values, and they include loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. The reason that these are important to me are not because they're in a manual or in a regulation or a policy. Instead, I've learned that they're important because they are a foundation for organizations or communities to work together. Whether I'm leading a group of soldiers or county staff through budget and policy tasks, the shared values are what help us get through the easy times, the tough times, and learn from the mistakes that we make. From my first days at York, I was involved with one of the most influential and caring leaders that I've ever experienced. Me and thousands of young men like me have been influenced by being part of the Long Green Line or by its coach, Joe Newton. He used the vehicle of cross country and track to turn boys into young men that could have personal courage, integrity, and respect. Through living those values, we've all had a better chance at success. One thing that I remember distinctly was the way that he made a personal connection with each of the kids on the teams. Those are still things that I use today in my management style. When I'm out visiting employees or I'm visiting with soldiers in the field, I always try and make a personal connection so that they know that they're valued and respected. There were also so many other examples of great people, teachers and mentors that honed certain values in me, even if I didn't know it until later. Tucker Nelson and Dwight Larson, both World War II veterans, taught me that serving one's country and one's community never stops. Dominic Belmonte, Kurt Merrill, Bruce Moss, all taught me that you could still love the arts and be part of the arts, even if you weren't an expert. And last, Chris Forte and Jean Baldakowski taught me that listening and doing the hard work and being persistent around a subject can help you learn it and sometimes even love it. The last value that I mentioned is selfless service. All of the people that I've mentioned from my time at York High School could be included with this value of selfless service. All of these teachers and coaches always gave more of themselves, their time, and probably their own personal financial resources in order to build a productive and content young men and women. However, my parents and family are my favorite example. Roy and Lucy Fisher did everything with their family and kids at the forefront. Parent-Teacher Association, band boosters, JCs, Brookfield Zoo, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, doing all of these things with 3 very involved boys. This service to us, while always putting us first, and me personally certainly not seeing it at the time, provided an example that I still try to live today. So with this recognition of Roy and Lucy Fisher, I've arranged for my dad to receive this honor for me. Thank you to them for being here, for my brother Bob and my cousin Stacy for being here and being fellow York graduates, and for my aunt and uncle Joe and Colette Rudis for attending as well. And last, I want to thank York Community High School for forming a man that could be a good Army leader, a good local government leader, a successful family man, and a successful father. I realize how much my time in Elmhurst and my time at York High School are a part of me being me and a part of me being successful. I am honored by your presence today, and thank you all again.
The next Duke to be recognized is Linda French, class of 1982. Linda is a 12-time U.S. national badminton champion. As captain of her team, she led York Community High School to a second-place finish in the team state finals in 1981 and 1982. She won the Illinois State badminton singles title in 1979, 1981, and 1982. Linda was selected to join the U.S. Olympic badminton team in 1992 and competed on the 1999 U.S. Olympic team. Extensive travel inspired Linda to serve as an immigration lawyer. Linda represents athletes, businesses, and individuals. She's proud to represent pro bono asylum seekers and victims of violence. Linda continues to promote fitness through the Olympic Alumni Association. I proudly welcome Linda.
Thank you for this great honor. I live in Naples, Florida, but I'm always happy to return here to Elmhurst, my home. I'm so grateful for the excellent education I received here in Elmhurst at Jackson, Bryan, and York. My teachers taught me to do research, examine evidence, build ideas, listen, which I've found to be an impressive skill for a lawyer. Most don't listen very well, and consider other viewpoints and apply logic and reasoning. My English teachers taught grammar and writing skills that I use every day to write briefs, cover letters, and appeals. After York, I felt, and I really was, really prepared for college and law school. I met many of my lifelong friends here at York, including my nominator, Mary Nicholson, who I met at Bryan, actually, Cheryl, Chris, Sandy, Barb, and Claudia. I had the best time in high school, being challenged in class and playing on the teams, including 4 years on the tennis team and 4 years on the badminton team. The tennis team was led by Coach Dave Williams. I talked to him last week. He couldn't be here tonight, but he was also my elementary school gym teacher, and we played a lot of badminton over there at Jackson. I also enjoyed cheering on other York teams. From an early age, I liked and played all sports. It's me in the bottom row, second from the left, but I loved to play badminton. Most people didn't understand exactly what badminton is, but I didn't care. I wanted to play and practice all the time. My grandmother Annette, parents Janet and Paul, brother Martin, and sister Ann all played and taught me how to play. That's 1974. To them, I am grateful for everything: our loving home, selecting Elmhurst because of the schools, sports, reading, and endless fun and laughter we shared. None of my life would be possible without their love and support, and the support of my United Methodist Church. And I wanted to introduce tonight my wonderful son, William Martin French. I am so proud of you, and you are pure joy. Also, my first coach, Bruce Pano, who is here tonight, importantly taught me the correct techniques from the start. He helped me to improve gradually and convinced me that to move to the next level, you have to change and improve, even if you're winning with your current skills. And of course, learn through your failures, and there were many during the Olympic qualifying. Being halfway around the world and losing early in a tournament, it was tough. It took determination and resilience to continue. I was training for the Olympics during law school, and in that time, my concentration, focus, and time management were elevated. I even had to miss the first-year property law exam final to compete in the World Championships in Denmark. I interrupted law school to travel to international tournaments for 12 months during the Olympic qualification for 1992 in the Games in Barcelona. My 1992 Olympic teammate and friend since I was 11 years old, Ben Lee, is here tonight. The team also visited the White House. I returned and graduated from law school after the Olympics. I also qualified for the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta. Walking into the stadium for the opening ceremony, in my home country was one of the highlights of my life. I also participated in the torch run. I met many people who came out to watch badminton, including President Carter. Badminton took me to 41 countries when I was able to meet and get to know people from all over the world. I lived for a summer in Kudos, Central Java, Indonesia. Another summer was spent traveling all over New Zealand. We spent 6 months in Europe, based at the Simbach Air Base in Germany. This and participation in the law school immigration clinic at the University of San Diego led me to my interest in immigration law, which I have practiced since 1998. Immigration combines a bit of everything: litigation, family law, politics, current events, global studies, and tax law. And as we know, it is constantly changing. To quote George W. Bush in his letter to new citizens, "Americans are united by ideals. The grandest of these ideals is that everyone deserves a chance and that no insignificant person was ever born. Our country has never been united by blood or birth or soil. We are bound by principles." My clients come from Central and South America, Africa, Europe, and Asia. While I practice all types of immigration, my greatest achievements come from the opportunity to aid asylum seekers and victims of domestic violence on a pro bono basis. Sometimes these clients are detained until their cases are decided. They have harrowing stories of suffering brutal abuses. I have cried with them while preparing their cases. Every detail is discussed, and the retelling alone brings extreme pain. Determination, resilience. They know what these are. And I must use every skill I learned at York and beyond, and that I continue to learn to help them. The stakes are high, and I look at each case as a must-win situation. Because I believe that every child or young person may be the hope for the whole world. To all children, I wish for them what Elmhurst has given me: a great education leading to options, an open mind and curiosity, a sense of belonging, a desire to make my community better through civic engagement and volunteering, determination, resilience, and optimism. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Our next amazing Duke to be recognized is Dr. Judith Bond Johnson, class of 1955. Judith is a nurse and was the first to receive a PhD from the adult education program at the University of Minnesota. Her company, Health Quest, serves individual companies and hospitals whose interest is living with chronic illness. Dr. Johnson's PhD thesis, the I Can Cope Cancer Patient Education course, was adopted by American and international hospitals. Dr. Johnson has lived and traveled abroad. She was appointed as a Fulbright Scholar in 2010. She's the editor of the journal Asian Pacific Journal of Oncology Nursing and presents on living with chronic illness and patient education. I want to welcome Judith.
Good evening. I don't like to follow Linda. That was just a beautiful talk, wasn't it? Oh, such work she does. Well, I too am very honored to get this award. And the person that nominated me is not here tonight, but she was here last year because she received the award last year. That's Barbara Kairais Lundy. I also have a couple of my classmates here that saw my name and decided that they would come, so they really surprised me. So they were able to sit at my table, and it's really a pleasure to reacquaint ourselves. Unfortunately, I have not been a person that's been able to return to York, and I have to admit, I even had a hard time finding this place tonight. Don't tell. But I am very honored to get this award, and I feel like when I heard Duke of Distinction that I should practice bowing or curtsying to all these people that get the award tonight, because doesn't that sound like, we're royalty now? Remember it. I am a nurse, and from a very, very young age, I dreamed of being a nurse. I credit the staff here at York High School for the role they played in encouraging me to pursue this passion. They helped my dream become a reality. And how was that? First of all, we started the Nurses Club while we were in high school. So all of us who wanted to be nurses got together and talked about which hospital we were going to go to, and it was based on what kind of cap you liked. Now, isn't that ridiculous? A cap today on a nurse is like ancient history. But I also think that having that opportunity to talk with other people who want, students who want to be nurses, having the nurses, the nurse from the nurse's office there, and having her give us her opinions sometimes, and certainly her influence. And that did finalize my decision to go into nursing school. And I only wish she were here tonight. So I graduated with a diploma from Augustana Hospital in Chicago, which is no longer there. And at the time that I was going to school, the whole plan was to have 3 years in a hospital program, and you ended up with a diploma, and you could start working immediately. In fact, part of the reason it was so inexpensive to go, $300, for which I got a scholarship, big deal, I think that we turned out really strong as nurses, but at the same time, we were trained in a way that we weren't educated. And for me, and I have no reason why, I immediately boarded a train to Rochester, New York, where I enrolled at the University of Rochester and received my bachelor's degree there. I worked nights at that time as a staff nurse in order to cover this tuition. I have loved every type of nursing that I have tried. I was a visiting nurse for a while in the inner city of Washington, D.C., and oh my, the stories that I could tell. Marriage to the youngest faculty member at Hanover College, he was then 25, located in southern Indiana, led me to find work at the psychiatric hospital, and I worked in a locked ward of men who were committed for everything from sexual assault to murder. And when she told me I had to go home and ask for my husband's permission to work there, I was just married. I thought, I have to ask him then, where I can work. I can't believe that. But then I understood why, because it was not an easy place to work, yet I really liked it, and I learned to love those men for even despite what they had done. While Randy attended summer school at various universities across America, I tried out camp nursing, loved it. Emergency room nursing, loved it. And then I became a float nurse one time, which meant they could send me anywhere that they needed me. As a camp nurse, our young boys were well looked after by campers and loved that they could swim several hours a day. So my nursing has given me a variety of experiences, and they've all seemed to fit into the needs of our family. And many more experiences were to come. 7 years after my husband was faculty at Hanover College, he left because we had to pursue a PhD at the University of Minnesota if he was going to continue to teach. I found a teaching job at that time in a nearby hospital and worked evenings helping students get used to working on the floors. It was a perfect fit for the family. He arrived home, I left. So as soon as he finished his studies, I then started mine. And I thought, well, as long as we're here, right here, in this town where the school is, why not start? I may not finish because we may be going somewhere else. But we didn't, and we have been there many, many years now, and our children have both left because we told them that we weren't going to stay for long, so they took off, and we're still there. And as a PhD student, you would think that I probably would teach, be a faculty member, but I really didn't want to do that. I really chose to work with patients And I believe strongly in education, and that if you are facing any kind of an illness, that you deserve to know what's going on and how this is going to be affecting you and your family. So my PhD thesis, which is called I Can Cope, proved to help cancer patients learn to live with their disease. And you have to realize that was in the late 70s when we had a lot of new drugs, and it was a real struggle to get through those treatments. But the I Can Cope program covered a myriad of things, not just treatment, but how to talk about it, how to live with all these things that were going to be happening to you. And it was a unique program at that time and was quickly adopted by nurses across our country. As this course took wings, my life really changed. I now was being invited to give talks and interviews across the US and Canada. And then a second program which was devised at this hospital where I worked was called the Weekend. We took families to a retreat center where they together learn about cancer and also have fun together. I continued to work at a local hospital as a patient educator for people with cancer. I also discovered, though, that my PhD opened doors to serving on government committees and successfully obtaining grants for my hospital. And then Hubert Humphrey, which I think most in this room should know who he was, as our vice president of the United States, he came home to Minnesota, where he lived, to continue his fight of his cancer, which was at that time terminal. And I had the opportunity and the privilege to co-lead the team of nurses who cared for him at home. And oh my, you can learn so much from this man, even when he was as sick as he was, and he didn't believe in wasting time sleeping at night. So we sat in the chair trying to stay awake as he would tell us story after story after story. It was a fantastic experience. Well, caring for Hubert Humphrey, I think, influenced the committee who selected the annual Bush Fellows, which is part of the Bush Foundation, which is connected to 3M. It provided the funding for me to have 18 months to broaden my knowledge of cancer care. My family moved to London, where I spent 9 months at a cancer hospital there. In fact, it's the oldest cancer hospital in the world. I enrolled in a nursing course and was assigned to work in different units throughout the hospital. So I got hands-on staff nurse experience all that time, which was, for me, actually a reward for having my PhD and being able to go back to being a staff nurse for a while. When I returned to the United States, I spent time at the cancer centers that are located in Texas, New York, and the National Cancer Institute in Maryland. I can say with certainty that my nursing career has taken our family far and wide. And after 2 years home, and I was back working as a nursing director in 1991 at the early age of 50s, in the 50s, I had a major stroke. That stroke changed not only my life, but that of my entire family. Contrary to medical opinion that I would spend the remainder of my life in a wheelchair, as you can see, I am up and moving and have spent only walking with a cane so that I can get around independently. And anytime I go cross water to the international arena, my husband is with me. But coming here and coming to the United States, any place in the United States, I'm very capable of being able to travel on my own. And today, at the age of 80, I am the editor-in-chief of the Asian Pacific Journal of Cancer Nursing. And you might say, Asian, why Asian? I have become, by a series of incidences, very connected to the Asian population and was asked to do this journal to correlate with the organization called the Asian Oncology Nursing Society, which I was involved in starting. And so, as a result, when everything comes up that requires the journal to be there, we travel to Asia. I only wish it was a little closer to the United States. I'm enjoying nursing now from a very different angle. Yes, I provide direction for this journal, and I read the articles that others are writing. And I thank my God for helping me see life as good. And it is good, even though it's not certainly what I had planned. Thank you. By the way, I just think it's great having these students here helping us, isn't it?
Thank you, Judith. Our last Duke of Distinction to be recognized this evening is Mary McInerney Woolley, class of 1964. Mary is an influential medical and health research advocate. She is president, CEO of Research America, a nonprofit alliance dedicated to making health research a higher national priority. Mary is a member of the Distinguished National Academy of Sciences Board on Life Sciences and a founding member of the Board of Associates of the Whitehead Institution for Biomedical Research. She holds 2 honorary doctorate degrees. Mary was awarded the Adam Yarmolinsky Award for Distinguished Service from the National Academy of Medicine and is a member of the Visiting Committee of the University of Chicago Medical Center. I'd like to welcome Mary up.
Good evening. I want to thank everyone who's a part of this wonderful honor, and also Val Stewart for nominating me. It's really a treat. And my heartiest congratulations to those incredibly distinguished people you have already heard from, fellow Dukes of Distinction. A little shout out to my brother Larry, my sister-in-law Kathy. Larry is class of 72. I'm sure going to be honored someday. So let me say for the record that this is the first time in my life that I haven't broken the rules of York High School by wearing pants in this building. Right. I remember back in the day trying to sort of sneak in with pant legs rolled up under a coat. The same behavior, by the way, that I was trying at the movie theater, York Theater, because back in those days, if you wanted to go see, say, To Kill a Mockingbird and you were a girl, you couldn't wear pants. So my ruse didn't work there either. But that is how long ago I went to York. I was a student here from 1960 to 64. Quite tumultuous years in our nation, indeed in the world. It was quite a time. The Beatles, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the assassination of John F. Kennedy. November 22nd, 1963 was the most shocking day of my young life. I was in world history class with Mr. Larson when we got the news. I can feel it right now. I lived that shock within these walls. I was indeed so upset by the murder of JFK because just a few years earlier, as a freshman at York, I had shaken his hand. Presidential candidate Kennedy was making a 14-stop visit to west suburban Chicagoland on October 25th, 1960, just days before the election, and one stop was in the gymnasium just a few yards from here. A few students were asked to participate, and I somehow was included. At that stop, indeed in that handshake, A distant world of TV news, national politics, and world affairs suddenly became very real for me. Politics wasn't just images on a screen or summaries in history books. It was people and power and possibilities in public service. I started paying attention in ways that I frankly hadn't before. I took political science classes I would never have considered otherwise as I went on in school, and I ended up in Washington, D.C. Today we call that the swamp, I know. But I've spent several decades there now. It kind of gets in the blood. But for me, it literally started in these halls. York High School remains a part of my story, a part of myself. I had a very privileged education here, quite extraordinary academic training, like William Stringfellow's honors English class, 3 years of another Larson, Lois Larson's Latin classes, right back there, and Politics and Power taught by Henry Hitt. But it's complicated because there were aspects of my York education that were not extraordinary. There were troubling aspects, the more troubling because they were ordinary. Just as I remember Mr. Larson's history class, I remember Mr. Benson's geometry class, I think right about there. I remember the day he announced the results of a statewide math test. As he noted that I had the best score from our class, he said, quote, "There must have been a mistake because a girl has finished the highest," unquote. You laugh. This wasn't the only time that I got the message that I didn't belong in math and science. In fact, I didn't take physics my senior year because I had learned a lesson. Science wasn't right for me, or rather, I was wrong for science. So York is complicated for me. In so many ways, I had a superb education in the Elmhurst Public Schools. I remain grateful beyond words for the chance to have teachers like Betty Bingham, R.W. Brown, and William Stringfellow. And I only wish I could remember the name of the teacher to whom I owe the debt of having taught me touch typing. That, as much as anything else, degrees included, got me my first career position as a secretary to the head of a medical research project funded by the National Institutes of Health. 45 years ago, I seized the beginning of a chance to put political science and medical science together, and I've made a career of it. It's been a labor of love. I'm still excited about it, and I have York to thank for the preparation I needed. But it's complicated still. We've made progress from the day that Leon Benson would say that it was a mistake that a girl could succeed in math, but I wonder whether we can be sure that nothing like that happened today in these walls. I wonder whether we can be sure that no young woman of York got the message today that she was wrong for math and science. We're proud of York. I am proud of York. This school is capable of an extraordinary education. But I wonder whether we can be sure that the education doesn't come with messages attached, messages that say that the education isn't right for all of York's students. The evidence is that messages are still there, and they take many forms. Certainly, the evidence is there that women are still being subtly and sometimes overtly discouraged from science and math. I urge all of us not to take it for granted that all is well, even in this terrific school. Things can and should get better still. I believe that it rests on all of us to make things better still. Thank you for this honor It really means more than you can imagine.
I just want to take a moment to thank all of our Dukes of Distinction for returning to York High School this evening and really bringing your stories to life, breathing life into history and how it has continued to play itself out here in these four walls, as the students that are sitting in front of you today would testify to. Judith, you mentioned the students that were with you today. There are York Advisory Team students, and they meet with me, the principal, monthly in the evenings and are an extraordinary support to this event. But in addition to that, our alum will be back tomorrow and will be able to visit classes, and our York Advisory students are going to be with them in the auditorium where they get to talk to students and interact with students in the classroom and see what the classroom looks like today. So I think that's really exciting, and I want to thank the York Advisory students for their commitment tonight and tomorrow. I'd also ask just once more that those that are here that did nominate one of our Dukes of Distinction, please stand for a round of applause. I know how much it means to them, and we're so appreciative to you for that. And then I just want to close tonight saying that we have so much to celebrate. And I know, having read and researched some of the history of York High School, obviously prior to my arrival here, is that the rich tradition of excellence continues. And so again, thank you everyone, and have a lovely evening.
Welcome to Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205, a place where teaching is bold and students are highly engaged in their learning.
Every student and every staff member has a story.
Decisions are made based on what is best for students.
Future-ready classrooms are growing and evolving daily.
Those classrooms model the 4 C's, the future-ready super skills of communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity.
The educational needs of all students are met, challenging each to his or her full potential and ensuring a foundation for future success in life.
All means all. Rigor, relevance, and relationships form the basis of excellence. Excellence is embedded in culture.
Growth is a mindset. Diversity is embraced and celebrated. Opportunities for unique expression abound.
History provides inspiration.
Family and community are at the core.
We are committed to raising the bar to create bright futures for our children, preparing and encouraging them to reach beyond their dreams.